Hello everyone, it's Stephen Whiteside here from theuptrend.com with this weekend's edition of Stock Market Timing Television. Well, the market ended the week on a positive note. We don't have a lot of new weekly buy signals to talk about this weekend, but we may have the start of something. We'll just have to wait and see. Last week at this time, we were looking at a whole new slew of 52-week lows, and the SOX index was leading the market lower, down over 8%. This week, that reversed. The SOX index closed up over 8% and ended the week on an inside week, so a week of indecision here, but at least we didn't make a new 52-week low this week. Now, what worked? Well, on both sides of the border, it was all about energy stocks. Even though the energy commodities didn't participate, the big winners on the TSX was the energy sector, and in the U.S., it was also the energy sector. Now, looking at, we're going to mix up some daily and weekly charts here. I just want to note that a lot of people are going home with a smile on their face this weekend because of this bar. The Dow took out the highs of the week and the highs for October. But this is a very unusual situation. You're not going to see a lot of this. The big winner on the Dow this week, and flipping back to a weekly chart, was Salesforce, up over 12% on the week. Still on a weekly sell signal. That wouldn't change unless we closed above $164.77 this coming Friday. Now again, flipping back to a daily chart, yes, the S&P 500 had a big outside day on Friday. It traded below the previous day's low and then ended the day above the previous day's high, but it certainly didn't take out the high of the week or the high of October, which is back here. So we're expecting to see some resistance up there at 3,800. If we can break through that, that would be a very bullish sign for the overall market. Now, the biggest winner on the S&P 500 this week was the same as the winner on the NASDAQ, but the second biggest winner on the S&P 500 was Schlumberger, up on just under 20% on the week and taking out the high that we saw 6 months ago. Now, going back to a daily chart of the NASDAQ 100, yes, we ended the week on a positive note. In fact, the NASDAQ actually ended the week on a buy signal as of Friday's close. So we didn't take out the high from earlier in the week, and we certainly didn't take out the high from back at the start of October. So looking to see if we can do that this week. That would certainly be a bullish sign. Back to weekly charts, the biggest winner on the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 was Netflix, up nearly 26% on the week. So congratulations anyone holding Netflix. Now back to a daily chart of the TSX composite index. You can see, yes, we closed on Friday on a positive note, closing above the upper channel line, but didn't take out the high from a couple of days ago and certainly didn't challenge the high from early October. So outside of the Dow, the rest of the markets still have some work to do. The biggest winner on the TSX was IM Gold, up nearly 30% on the week. Let's move on, looking at the VIX, or the Fear Index. Last week we were looking at this chart and looking for a close this coming Friday below 2487. That didn't happen, but two things have happened. The VIX came down into the channel and the lower channel line moved up. So we're getting closer to a sell signal here. We may not get it this week. It may take a few more weeks before the VIX comes down and the lower channel line intersects. But this coming Friday, we'd become long-term bullish on the market if we saw the VIX start moving down below 2570. On a daily chart, we are back on a daily buy signal for the VIX and made a new low on Friday, so that was in sync with the rest of the market. If we look at a midterm chart for the VIX, you can see that our tether line's currently at about 2650. So that's what you're really going to need to see before you see conservative investors get back in the market. So far, it's mostly day traders and people doing short covering. There hasn't been a lot of new money come back into the market just yet. Next up, let's take a look at those mega trends. And we didn't have any trend changes here to talk about. The US dollar index is still on a buy signal. It pulled back a bit. The euro is still on a sell signal. It was up a bit. In both cases, we're still trading above the upper channel line or below the lower channel line. So that has not changed. Looking at the price of gold, we're up $12.30, coming off the 1625 level once again. Of course, if 1625 breaks, then 1500 will be our next target. It would be nice to see gold close above the previous week's high. If we can do that, that would certainly be a very positive note for the price of gold. There's copper. Copper up on the week, still trading in the channel, so no change in trend for copper. Then looking at crude oil. Crude oil was only up 40 cents. Now, the energy stocks certainly outperformed against the commodities themselves, especially when you take a look at natural gas, which was down just under 18% on the week and closing below the lows from back in the summer. Then looking at bonds, the 30-year bond made a new low. The yield on 30-year bonds made a new high, and that's not good for the housing market. Let's finish off this weekend's presentation taking a look at my 5 stocks. Now, if you're not familiar with these stocks, I'm either long or short these stocks on any particular day. I use the right side chart for those signals, and I use the price target chart to know when to take money off the table. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because we're looking for the start of a new up move in the market that could possibly last until Christmas, that traditional Christmas rally. And so we've got some new buy signals to deal with on the daily charts, not the weekly charts. So this is just daily charts. On Friday, Apple closed on a buy signal, so I still have some Apple shares that I'm short. It's been quite a winning trade for being short Apple, and we've been able to take money off the table. So we're going to lock in more profits on Monday when I buy my shares back and then go long Apple at the open. I have to do a similar thing for Amazon, so I'm no longer short Amazon. I'm going to be long Amazon at the open on Monday morning. I'm still short the CME group. Nothing changed on Friday. We made a new low. We didn't go down enough to take additional profits, but we're still short this stock. And then we're still long Goldman Sachs, so nothing changed on Friday. In fact, Goldman Sachs closed just a tick above the high from earlier in the week, so that's bullish. And then Visa, we're currently long Visa. So out of the 5 stocks, we're long 4 of them, so that's right now I'm 80% long in my stock portfolio. Okay, folks, that is all for this weekend's presentation. Something could be starting here, but we still have a lot of work to do. Especially, we need to start trading above those highs from early October. And whether you're watching the TSX, the NASDAQ, or the S&P 500, that'll be quite a tell if we can start trading above those levels. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Tuesday morning.